The local news said I was dead. They said my name, Leo Hayes, and showed a picture of me smiling. They said I had a tragic accident while hiking. They said my best friend, Sam, was a hero for trying to save me. But they were wrong. It was not an accident. And Sam was not a hero. I know this because I am not dead. I am just a ghost now, watching the world that thinks I am gone. And I am waiting. My name is Leo Hayes. I am 32 years old. I work a simple job at a hardware store. My life was small, but it was happy. I had my wife, Clara, and I had my best friend, Sam. Sam and I grew up together. We were closer than brothers. We did everything together. We even had a stupid little dream we shared since we were kids, to win the lottery and open a garage to fix up old cars. We bought a ticket every single Friday for 15 years. We always said, when we win, not if, but when. Last week, our dream came true. We won. We stood in my kitchen looking at the ticket, then at the numbers on the TV screen. $100 million. We were screaming, jumping up and down, hugging each other. It was the best moment of my life. The next day, Sam said we should celebrate. He said we should go on a hike to our favorite spot, a high cliff overlooking the ocean, the place we always went to talk about our dreams. I thought we were going to celebrate our future. I had no idea he was taking me there to end mine. We stood on the edge of that cliff, the wind blowing hard. The ocean was 100 feet below. We were laughing, talking about the cars we would buy. First thing we do is quit our jobs, Sam said with a huge grin. I agreed. I turned to look out at the ocean, feeling like I was on top of the world. We really did it, man, I said. His voice came from right behind me, but his tone had changed. It was cold. No, Leo, he said. I did it. Before I could even turn around, he pushed me. Hard. I felt his hands on my back. I felt the world disappear from under my feet. The sky and the ocean swapped places. The last thing I saw was Sam's face looking down at me. There was no panic in his eyes. No regret. There was only greed. A cold, hard look that said, "This is mine now." Then the cold water hit me like a wall of concrete. The pain was everywhere. And then there was only darkness. I did not die. I do not know how. Maybe it was luck. Maybe it was the anger that burned inside me. I woke up on a rocky beach miles from a cliff. My leg was broken. My body was a mess of cuts and bruises. An old fisherman who lived in a small cabin found me. He set my leg. He fed me. He did not have a phone or a TV. He did not know I was the dead man from the news. For a week, I healed in his quiet cabin, and the quiet man I used to be was replaced by someone new, someone cold, someone who wanted justice. I had to see it for myself. I borrowed the old man's truck and drove to my own funeral. I parked far away and watched from behind a tree. I saw my wife, Clara, crying. I saw my parents, their faces broken with sadness. And I saw Sam. He was standing with Clara, holding her, comforting her. He was the perfect picture of a grieving best friend. He even gave a speech about how much he loved me, how he would always be there for my family. The lies made me sick. After the funeral, everyone went back to my house. The house I had shared with my wife. I watched through the window from the woods behind my home. I saw Sam talking to a man in a suit who handed him a giant check. I saw him hold it up for everyone to see. I'm going to use this to honor Leo's memory, he said, his voice full of fake tears. He was a hero, and I was just a ghost watching him steal my life, my dream, and my future. I stayed there for hours, watching the party for my death. The sun went down. People started to leave. Soon, it was just Sam and my wife, Clara, left in the house. I watched them clean up. I saw them talking. And then I saw something that broke the last piece of my heart. Sam walked over to Clara. He put his arms around her, and he kissed her. It was not a kiss of comfort. It was a kiss between lovers. She was not crying anymore. She was smiling. My best friend did not just push me off a cliff to steal my money. He did it to steal my wife. Or maybe she was never my wife at all. They had planned this together. My death was not just a murder. It was a conspiracy between the two people I loved most in the world. And in that moment, I knew I did not just survive for nothing. I survived for revenge. If you believe that the deepest betrayals deserve the biggest payback, you are in the right place. Let me know in the comments where you are watching from. Your support means the world. Make sure you subscribe and turn on all notifications, because my funeral is over and their nightmare is just about to begin. They think I'm a ghost. They are about to find out that ghosts can haunt you. The image of my wife kissing my best friend burned itself into my mind. It was a fire that burned away all my sadness, all my grief, and left behind something hard and sharp. I stumbled back through the woods to the old fisherman's truck, my broken leg screaming with pain. But the pain in my body was nothing compared to the storm inside me. The two people I had built my life around had not just betrayed me, they had erased me. They thought I was a ghost. Fine. I would be the ghost that haunts their every waking moment. I returned to the small, hidden cabin by the sea. The old fisherman, Silas, looked at me. He saw the new, cold light in my eyes. He did not ask what I had seen. He just nodded slowly and put a hot cup of coffee in my hands. "A man who has lost everything," he said, his voice rough like sand and stone, "is a free man. He is free to do anything." He was right. I had nothing left to lose, which meant I was free to take everything from them. The old, happy-go-lucky Leo was gone forever. The man who sat in that cabin was a hunter. To hunt, you need to know your prey. I was officially dead. I could not use my phone, my bank cards, my computer. I was a ghost, and a ghost needs new tools. I took the last bit of cash I had in my wallet and drove to a small town 100 miles away. I went to a big box store and bought a pair of powerful binoculars, a cheap burner phone, and a small, simple listening device, the kind you might use to listen to birds. My time at the hardware store had taught me a few things about how things work. I was ready to start my new job, watching. I set up my post in the same woods behind my house where I had watched my own funeral. From there, I could see everything. I watched as Sam moved his things into my home. I watched as he and Clara drank champagne on the porch where I used to sit. I watched as they threw out my clothes, my books, my pictures, tossing my life into black trash bags. They were not just living in my house. They were erasing any sign that I had ever existed. Each day was a new kind of torture, a new log on the fire of my anger. Have you ever had a gut feeling that something was wrong with a person, but you ignored it because you loved or trusted them? I look back now and I see all the signs. I remember Sam once joking, "I'd sell my own mother for $1 million." I thought he was kidding. I remember Clara getting angry with me once for lending Sam money, saying, "You're too soft, Leo. People like us have to take what we want." I thought she was trying to protect me. Now I see they were telling me exactly who they were all along. I just wasn't listening. For a week, I just watched and learned. Sam was not smart with his new money. He bought a flashy new sports car. He had expensive things delivered to the house every day. He was loud and arrogant, and he was reckless. One afternoon, I saw him meet with a man in a black suit who looked like a shark. They argued in my driveway. The man gave Sam a thick envelope, and Sam looked scared. This was a weakness. This was an open loop I could pull on. My best friend was already in some kind of trouble. I knew I could not just walk up and confront them. They had tried to kill me once. They would not fail a second time. A direct attack was a fool's plan. I needed to be smarter. I needed to use their own greed against them. Their entire new life was built on that lottery money. The money was the foundation. If I could destroy the foundation, the whole house would come crashing down. But how could a dead man prove the money was his? Then I remembered something. A stupid, silly tradition Sam and I had. Every single Friday, for 15 years after we bought our lottery ticket, we would take a picture of ourselves holding it. We would then email the picture to each other with the same subject line every single time: the dream. It was our little ritual for good luck. But now it was more than that. It was my proof. It was the one piece of evidence in the entire world that could prove half of that winning ticket belonged to me. But there was a problem. A huge problem. That email, that picture, was on my laptop. And my laptop was inside my house, on the desk in my office, not 20 feet from where my wife and my best friend were sleeping. To start my revenge, I had to get that email. I had to break into my own home, into the heart of the enemy's camp, and steal back the only thing that proved I was still alive. The ghost had to go home. I sat in the darkness of the woods, the house lit up before me, a symbol of everything that had been stolen. The plan was crazy. It was dangerous. But it was the only way. If I could get that email, I could begin to dismantle their world piece by piece. If I failed, if they caught me, I would not be getting pushed off a cliff. I would just disappear forever. What would you do? Would you risk it all on one dangerous move? Tell me in the comments, because my decision was already made. My new life as a hunter was about to begin for real. The night I broke into my own house was the strangest night of my life. I waited in the cold woods until every light was out. I watched the window of the bedroom I used to share with my wife go dark. I knew their routines. I knew they would be asleep soon. My plan was simple. Get in, get the email from my laptop, and get out. But as I crept towards the home that was once my safe place, my heart hammered against my ribs. I was not just breaking into a house. I was breaking into my own past, and I was afraid of the ghosts I would find there. I went around to the back, to the small window in the laundry room. I always meant to fix the broken lock on it, but I never did. My own laziness was now my only way in. The window slid open with a soft groan. I slipped inside, my feet landing silently on the cold tile floor. The house smelled wrong. It smelled of Sam's cheap cologne and a new, sweet perfume Clara had started wearing. My scent, my life, had already been washed away. I was a stranger here. Every shadow was an enemy, every creak of the old house a scream. I moved slowly towards my office, the place where I kept my laptop. The door was open a crack. I pushed it open and stepped inside. A wave of sadness hit me, so hard I almost fell. This was my room, my space. My books were still on the shelves. My favorite coffee mug was still on the desk, but a new, expensive leather jacket, Sam's, was slung over my chair. He had taken everything from me, even my favorite chair. I had to focus. I was not here for my memories. I was here for my weapon. I found the laptop on the desk, right where I had left it. I lifted the lid, my hands shaking. The screen lit up, and my heart sank. A password screen. Of course. They had locked me out of my own computer, my own life. I felt a surge of helpless anger. To come all this way, to risk everything, only to be stopped by a simple password. What would you do in that moment? Would you give up and run, or would you try to break the code? The clock was ticking, and I knew I did not have much time. I took a deep breath. I had to think like them. What would two greedy, arrogant people use as a password? I tried the date they won the lottery. Nothing. I tried 100 million. Nothing. Then I thought about what this money meant to them. It was not just about being rich. It was about being free from their old lives. It was about escaping. I typed in a new word, freedom. The screen flashed and the desktop appeared. I was in. I worked fast. I found the email folder named The Dream. Inside were 15 years of pictures of me and Sam holding our lottery tickets. I scrolled to the last one, the winning one. There it was, the proof. I plugged in a small USB drive and began to copy the file. As it was copying, my eyes saw another folder on the desktop one I did not recognize. It was labeled insurance. My curiosity got the better of me. I clicked on it. Inside was a single file. A life insurance policy. On me. The policy was for $5 million. It was taken out 1 month before Sam pushed me off that cliff. They had not just planned to steal the lottery money. They had planned to get rich for my death in another way, too. The sickness of their greed was deeper than I could have imagined. But that was not the biggest shock. The person who would get the $5 million was not my wife, Clara. The only name on the policy was Sam's. He was not just cheating me. He was cheating her, too. Just as this new, horrifying truth settled in, I heard a noise from upstairs. A floorboard creaked. My blood turned to ice. Someone was awake. I quickly pulled the USB drive from the computer, the file copied. I did not have time to shut the laptop down. I shoved it under the desk, hoping they would not notice it had been used. I crept out of the office and headed for the laundry room window, my only way out. I was almost there. I was halfway to the window when I heard Clara's voice from the top of the stairs. It was sleepy and soft. "Sam," she called out. "Honey, did you hear something?" I froze, my body flat against the wall in the dark hallway. A moment later, I heard footsteps. Heavy footsteps. They were coming down the stairs. I was trapped. The back door was locked with a deadbolt. I could not get to it without a key. The window was too far away. The footsteps got closer and closer, and I knew there was nowhere left to run. The footsteps grew louder, each one a hammer blow against my heart. Thump, thump, thump. Sam was coming down the stairs. I was trapped. To my left was a small closet under the stairs, a dark space filled with old winter coats and forgotten shoes. It was my only chance. I slipped inside, pulling the door until only a tiny crack of darkness remained. I held my breath, the smell of my own old coat filling my nose, a sad memory of a life that was gone. I was a ghost hiding in my own tomb. Through the crack, I saw him. Sam walked into the hallway holding a baseball bat, his eyes scanning the darkness. Clara was right behind him, clutching her robe, her face pale with fear. He was no longer my friend. He was a dangerous stranger in my house. My heart pounded, so hard I was sure they could hear it. He checked the living room. He checked the kitchen. He stood in the hallway for a long time, listening. He was just feet away from me, but he did not check the small, forgotten closet. After a long moment, he grunted. "It was nothing," he said, and they went back upstairs. I waited for what felt like a lifetime. When I was sure they were asleep, I slipped out of the closet and out the window, melting back into the safety of the night. I ran through the woods, the small USB drive clutched in my hand like a precious stone. When I got back to Silas's quiet cabin, I plugged it into his old computer. I had it. The email, the picture, the proof that the money was mine. But I also had something else. I had the life insurance policy, a $5 million secret, a secret that proved Sam was never going to share a single penny with his own sister. I finally understood. Sam's greed was a bottomless pit. He had used Clara to help get rid of me, but he was always planning to get rid of her, too. He was going to take the lottery money, and then he was going to take the insurance money. All of it. He was not just a thief and a killer. He was a snake eating its own tail. And I realized this insurance policy was a weapon far more powerful than the email. The email could destroy their fortune. But this document? This could destroy their trust. It could turn them against each other. I thought about Sam and Clara when they were kids. I remembered a time at a family picnic when a bigger kid pushed Clara. Sam, who was small and skinny back then, had launched himself at the bigger kid without a second of thought. He was so fiercely protective of his little sister. Have you ever seen someone change so much that they become a stranger? It's scary how money and greed can turn a person into a monster. I wonder if any piece of that protective brother was left inside the man he had become. I knew what I had to do. I could not let them stay a team. I had to plant a seed of doubt. I had to make Clara see the truth. Using my burner phone, I sent a text to her number. It was an anonymous message, just like the one that had started this for me. The message was simple, designed to make her curious and afraid. It said, "He didn't just lie to Leo. You think you were his partner? Check the laptop. The folder is named insurance." I sent the message, and then there was nothing to do but wait and watch. The next day, I was in my spot in the woods, my binoculars focused on the house. I watched a new, expensive TV get delivered. Sam was living his dream. But then I saw Clara. She walked into my old office. Through the window, I could see her sit down at the laptop. I held my breath. I watched her face as she clicked the mouse. I saw her expression change. I saw the confusion, then the shock. And then I saw her face harden into a mask of pure, cold anger. The seed I had planted had just sprouted. I watched them all day. The house was a ticking time bomb. When Sam got home that night, the bomb went off. I could not hear their words through the glass of the living room window, but I did not need to. I saw Clara screaming at him, her face twisted with rage. She threw a glass, and it smashed against the wall. He was screaming back. He was denying it. And then he did something that made my blood run cold. He grabbed her. He shoved her hard against the wall. I saw the shock and fear in her eyes. It was the same fear I had felt on the edge of that cliff. He was not just a liar. He was violent. He was a monster. She was trapped in the house with him, with the man who had helped her kill me, and who she now knew was planning to betray her, too. He raised his hand as if to hit her. My own plan for a slow, careful revenge was gone. All I could think was that I had to do something, now. And then it got worse. Sam reached behind his back, under his shirt, and he pulled out a gun. A small, black handgun. He pointed it at her face. My wife, the woman who had betrayed me, the woman who had helped try to kill me, was now a victim. And I, the ghost she thought was dead, was the only person in the world who was watching. The only one who could possibly save her. I saw the gun in his hand, and the world went silent. My mind was empty. There was no plan. There was no thought of revenge. There was only my wife, the woman who had destroyed my life, about to have her life taken from her. And I was the only one who could do anything. I did not think. I acted. I grabbed a large, heavy rock from the edge of the woods. It felt heavy and real in my hands. I ran from the darkness of the trees and threw it with all my strength at the big living room window. The sound of the shattering glass was like an explosion in the quiet night. The world came rushing back in a wave of noise and chaos. Inside the house, Sam was startled. He dropped his aim. In that 1 second of confusion, Clara shoved him as hard as she could and ran for the back of the house. Sam, full of rage, turned and fired a single, wild shot into the darkness where I was hiding. I heard the bullet whistle past my ear, a deadly insect in the night. He had missed. Then he ran after Clara. I ducked back into the safety of the trees, my heart pounding so hard it hurt. I had saved her, but I had also shown my hand. Before, I was a ghost they did not know existed. Now, Sam knew someone was out there. Someone was watching. He would be paranoid. He would be on high alert. My slow, careful plan of a quiet revenge was shattered, just like the window of my living room. This was not a chess game anymore. This was a war. Where did Clara run? Did she get away? Is Sam still out there, hunting her in the dark? These questions burned in my mind. Her fate was a new, dangerous open loop. Was she now on my side? Or would she run back to him if she got the chance? I could not stay here. It was not safe anymore. I made my way back through the dark woods to Silas's cabin, the one safe place I had left in the world. As I walked, I thought about my wedding day. I remembered making a promise to Clara, the same promise every husband makes, to love and to protect her no matter what. I did not love her anymore. She had killed that love. But in that moment, when I saw the gun pointed at her face, that old promise, buried deep inside me, had taken over. I had acted to protect her. Leo risked his life to save the woman who helped try to kill him. Did he do the right thing? Or should he have let them destroy each other? Let me know what you would do. I got back to the cabin, my mind a mess. Silas was waiting up for me. He saw the look on my face. "You cannot fight a fire from inside the house," he said, his voice calm. He was right. I had gotten too close. I had let my emotions take over. My revenge had become messy and dangerous. I had saved my enemy, but I had put myself in even more danger. I felt like a fool. And then there was a soft, desperate knock on the cabin door. My heart stopped. Silas grabbed an old hunting rifle that was resting against the wall. It had to be Sam. He had somehow followed me. This was the end. I crept to the small window and peeked outside. A woman was standing on the porch, shaking, her face pale in the moonlight. It was Clara. She was alone, covered in scratches from running through the woods. She had found me. But how? How could she possibly know where I was? I let her in. She collapsed into a chair, sobbing. Her story came out in broken pieces. She had run from the house and hidden in the woods. She watched Sam search for her with the gun in his hand, screaming her name. After he finally gave up and went back inside, she knew she could not go to the police. She was just as guilty as he was. She had nowhere to go. Then she remembered a story I once told her about an old fisherman I had met years ago who lived in a hidden cabin up the coast. It was a crazy, desperate guess. But she had found me. I now had one of my enemies in my house, seeking my protection. The world had truly turned upside down. I did not know if I could trust her. I did not know what to do. But then she told me something that made the whole nightmare even darker. "It's not just about the lottery money, Leo," she said, her voice trembling with a new kind of fear. "There's more. The man you saw Sam arguing with in the driveway, he is from a very dangerous family. Sam borrowed a lot of money from them years ago, before we won. A cold dread filled the small cabin. He didn't just want our lottery money to be rich, Leo," she whispered, her eyes wide with terror. "He needed it to pay them back. He needed it to stay alive." Sam was not just a greedy man who had tried to kill his best friend. He was a desperate animal, caught in a trap with criminals far scarier than he was. And our $100 million was the only thing keeping the wolves from his door. This changed everything. Clara's words fell into the quiet cabin like a stone into a deep, dark well. A dangerous family. A massive debt. Sam was not just a greedy man. He was a desperate one. My simple story of a friend who betrayed me had just become a whole lot more complicated. I was no longer just dealing with a snake. I was dealing with a snake who was being hunted by a dragon, and I was caught right in the middle. The three of us, me, Clara, and old Silas, sat in silence, the weight of this new truth pressing down on us. I looked at Clara, my wife, who had helped plan my murder. I did not trust her. I did not love her. But in that moment, she was not my enemy. She was a terrified woman who knew too much. I could not just let her go. Sam would find her. Or worse, the people he owed money to might find her. She was a loose end, a danger to herself and to me. For now, we were stuck together, two enemies forced onto the same team by a much bigger monster. It was a strange and terrible alliance. I asked her for details. "Who are these people, Clara?" She was shaking. "I don't know much," she said. "Sam just called them the Sokolov family. He borrowed money from them years ago to start a business that failed. He said they were not the kind of people who accept late payments. He said they had been threatening him for months. That's why he was so desperate for the lottery money, Leo. He was not just trying to get rich. He was trying to buy his own life back. My old plan to use my email and a lawyer to claim my half of the money was now useless. That would take weeks, maybe months. But Sam and the Sokolovs were a problem for right now. A legal fight was too slow. It was a fight with paper. This was a fight with fire. The new goal was no longer about justice. It was about survival. We had to get the money away from Sam before his new friends got to him. Because if they did, the money and all of us would disappear forever. I thought back to the months before the lottery win. I remembered Sam being so stressed, always needing to borrow a few $100s. He sold his nice watch. He sold his car. I thought he was just bad with money. I even lent him $5,000, money I never saw again. I thought I was helping a friend who was having a hard time. Now I realized I was just throwing a bucket of water on a house that was already burning to the ground. He was not just stressed. He was being hunted. This changes everything, doesn't it? The person who betrayed you, who tried to kill you, is also in terrible, life-threatening trouble. Does that change how you feel about getting revenge on them? Does it make you want to walk away? Or does it make you even more determined to get what is yours before it all goes up in smoke? Let me know your thoughts on this, because I was torn. A part of me wanted to watch him get what he deserved, but another part knew that if he went down, he would drag us all down with him. We needed a new plan, a fast one, We could not go to the bank. We could not go to the police. We had to make Sam give us the money himself. We had to set a trap. And I realized that Clara, the woman I could not trust, was the only bait that would work. Sam did not know she was with me. He just knew that she had run. He would be desperate to find her. She was the only other person who knew about the lottery ticket. She was his only partner. The plan was dangerous, but it was all we had. Clara would be the bait. She would call Sam from the burner phone. She would pretend she had escaped and was terrified. She would tell him that she wanted to come back, that she just wanted them to take the money and run away together, before it was too late. She would lure him to a place of my choosing, a place where we could be in control. The old abandoned garage on Route 4, the very place we had dreamed of buying with our winnings. The perfect, final stage for our story. Clara agreed. She was scared, but she knew it was her only chance. I stood next to her in the small cabin, feeding her the words to say. She made the call. Sam answered, his voice a mix of anger and relief. Clara played her part perfectly. She cried. She said she was sorry. Let's just take the money and disappear, Sammy, she pleaded. Meet me at the old garage. We can leave from there, together. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Sam finally agreed. Fine, he said. Be there in an hour. We were about to hang up, a small victory won. But then Sam said one more thing, his voice low and cold, that made the blood freeze in our veins. But I'm not coming alone, he said. My new friends are very interested in our money. They want to meet you too. He was not just coming to get her. He was bringing the Sokolovs with him. Our simple trap for one desperate man had just become a meeting with a whole family of monsters. The phone call ended, and a new kind of silence filled the small cabin. It was the silence of a plan that had just exploded. We can't go, Leo, Clara whispered, her face as white as a sheet. They will kill us both. You know they will. My mind was racing, thoughts moving faster than they ever had before. She was right. We could not go to their meeting. But running was not an option either. A family like the Sokolovs would hunt us to the ends of the earth. We had only one choice left. We had to go to the garage. But it would not be their meeting. It would be mine. My original plan was to fight Sam with lawyers and the law. But that was for a different world, a world with rules. This new world had no rules. I could not fight these monsters with paper. I had to fight them with fire. The new plan was simple, and it was terrifying. I was going to turn my enemies against each other. I was going to make the Sokolovs see that Sam was not their partner who was about to pay them back. He was a liar who was trying to cheat them out of millions of dollars. My tools were few. I had the USB drive with the picture that proved the ticket was half mine. I had Clara, who knew how Sam thought. And I had Silas, the quiet fisherman, who looked at me and simply said, "What do you need?" We were a strange little army, a ghost, a traitor, and an old man. But we were all we had. We had 1 hour before Sam and his new friends would arrive at the garage. We had to work fast. We had to go set the stage for the final act of my story. As we worked in the dark, dusty garage, my mind flashed back to my father. He was a handyman, a man who could fix anything. He once taught me how to fix a broken clock. "Son," he said, his hands gently guiding mine, "most people just see the big hands moving. The trick is to understand the small, hidden gears. That is where the real power is." I was not a man of violence, but I was my father's son. I knew how to work with the small, hidden things. I knew how to set the gears of a trap. We set up a small, hidden camera and a microphone powered by a car battery. Then we found an old computer screen in the garage office. I connected it to a small, hidden laptop. I put the USB drive in the laptop. With the press of a single button, I could make the picture of me and Sam holding our winning ticket appear on that screen. It was a simple trap, a trap made of information. The Sokolovs were coming for a meeting about money. I was going to show them the truth. This was a huge gamble. I was not just facing my old friend anymore. I was picking a fight with a dangerous criminal family. Is this a brave plan or a foolish one? What do you think the odds are that this will actually work? Let me know in the comments. We finished just in time. Silas, Clara and I hid in an old, empty shipping container 100 yards from the garage. I had the laptop with me. We had a perfect view of the show that was about to start. First, Sam's flashy new sports car pulled up. He got out, looking nervous, constantly checking his phone. A few minutes later, a big, black SUV, the kind that looks like it belongs to the government, pulled up behind him. 3 men in dark suits got out. One of them, an older man with cold, dead eyes, was clearly the boss. This had to be Mr. Sokoloff. He walked up to Sam, and the two of them went inside the garage, leaving the other 2 men outside as guards. Our hidden camera was on. The show had begun. We watched on the small laptop screen. The microphone picked up their words. Sam was sweating. He was trying to act confident, but his fear was obvious. "I have the money," Sam said. 100 million. It's just taking a few days to clear the bank. Mr. Sokoloff just stared at him, his face a mask of stone. He did not believe him. "You have until tomorrow, Sam," the old man said, his voice a low growl. "Then my patience runs out." This was my moment. My heart was pounding. I looked at Clara. I looked at Silas. Then I pressed the button. Inside the garage, the old computer screen flickered to life. The picture of me and Sam, smiling like fools, holding up our winning lottery ticket, lit up the dark garage. And underneath the picture, I had added big, red letters that said, 50-50 partners. Inside the garage, the world stopped. Sam's face turned from fear to pure terror. He knew he was caught. Mr. Sokoloff, the old monster, slowly turned his head from the screen to look at Sam. He did not look angry. He looked like a wolf who had just realized the sheep he was about to eat was trying to cheat him. He now knew that Sam did not have $100 million. He had, at best, half. And he knew that the man he thought was just Sam's dead partner was very, very real. The trap was sprung. We watched on the laptop screen as the world inside the garage went completely still. The picture of me and Sam glowed in the darkness, a ghost from a happier time. Sam's face was a mask of pure terror. Mr. Sokoloff, the old man with the dead eyes, did not yell. He did not scream. He did something much scarier. He slowly turned his head and looked at Sam. A small, cold smile touched his lips. "You lied to me, Sam," he said, his voice quiet, almost a whisper. And in that whisper, I heard the sound of Sam's world ending. Sam started babbling. He made excuses. He said he was going to tell them. He said he could still get the money. But it was too late. The trust was broken. Mr. Sokoloff made a small, quiet gesture with his hand. The 2 guards from outside walked into the garage. They grabbed Sam. Clara let out a small, choked cry next to me in the darkness of our hiding place. What happened next was fast and ugly. They did not hold back. We watched in horror as they beat the man who was once my best friend. The sounds were sick and real. My plan had worked. I had turned my enemies against each other. But watching the brutal result, I did not feel powerful. I did not feel happy. I just felt empty. This was the revenge I wanted. But seeing it happen, seeing the real, ugly violence, it made me feel sick to my stomach. Clara was sobbing quietly beside me, her face buried in her hands. She was watching her own brother, the man who had just pointed a gun at her, being destroyed. And it was all because of my plan. I had unleashed a bigger monster to take care of a smaller one. Then, something happened that I never expected. Mr. Sokoloff, the old man, ignored Sam, who was now a mess on the floor. He walked slowly towards our hidden camera. He seemed to look right at it, right at me. "Mr. Hayes," he said, his voice calm and clear. "Leo, the ghost. You have my attention. You have proven you are not a fool." He paused, a cold smile on his face. "We would like to talk to you about our shared business interest. You and I have a problem, and his name is Sam." The game had just changed again. The Sokoloffs were not just a weapon I had used. They were now a player in my game. A very, very dangerous player. They knew I was real. They knew I had a claim to the money. And now they wanted to make a deal with me. The men dragged Sam's broken body out of the garage, threw him in the back of their black SUV, and drove away into the night. The garage was empty. My trap had worked, but it had also sprung a new one, with me inside it. Clara was a wreck. "They are going to kill him, Leo," she cried. And I, the man who had set this all in motion, did not know what to say. A part of me thought he deserves it. But another part of me felt a heavy, terrible weight. I had wanted justice. But this was not justice. This was just more darkness. My simple revenge had spun out of control, and I was no longer sure if I was the good guy in this story. What do you think? Did my plan go too far? I thought of me and Sam as kids, sitting in this very garage when it was just an old, forgotten place. We were sketching our dreams on a piece of cardboard, planning the cars we would fix, the business we would build. Best friends. Brothers. We promised we would always have each other's backs. Looking at the empty, dark garage on the laptop screen, that memory felt like a story about two other people, in another life, a lifetime ago. A life that was now gone forever. My burner phone buzzed. A text from a new, unknown number. It was them. It was the Sokolovs. The message was simple and direct. "We have your partner. We have your wife's brother. We are ready to talk about your $50 million. A new meeting. You will come alone this time. We will tell you when and where." They were not asking. They were telling. I had gone from being a ghost to being a business partner with a family of criminals. As Clara and I sat there, trying to figure out what to do, old Silas spoke up. He had been silent this whole time, just watching a screen. His face was grim. He pointed a shaky finger at the frozen image of Mr. Sokolov's face on the laptop. "I know that man," Silas whispered, his voice full of a strange, old fear. I stared at him. "What do you mean?" I asked. Silas looked at me, his eyes wide. "That is not his real name," he said. "I knew him from a long, long time ago. He is not just a criminal, son. He is something much, much worse." The mystery of the old fisherman, the man who had saved me, was a new, shocking open loop. Who was Silas? And who, or what, was the man who called himself Mr. Sokolov? Before I could even ask, another text came through from the Sokolovs. It was a picture of Sam, beaten and bloody, tied to a chair. The message below, it was simple. "The clock is ticking, Leo. It is time to collect your winnings." The picture of Sam, beaten and broken, stared up at me from a phone screen. It was a message from the Sokolovs, a promise of what they would do to anyone who crossed them. But my attention was fixed on Silas, the old fisherman. His face, usually calm as the sea on a windless day, was a storm of old memories and fear. "Who is he, Silas?" I asked, my voice a low whisper. "Who are you?" The quiet old man who had saved my life had a ghost of his own, and it had just walked back into the world. Silas looked at the picture of a cold-eyed old man on the phone. "His name is not Sokolov," he said, his voice rough. "His name is Ivan. And 40 years ago, he was my best friend, my business partner. He told us a story from a lifetime ago. He and Ivan, as young men, had built a successful shipping company from nothing. They were like brothers, just like me and Sam. And then, just as they were about to become rich, Ivan betrayed him. He forged papers, stole the company, and framed Silas for a crime he did not commit. Ivan left him for dead, and Silas had been hiding ever since, living as a simple fisherman. It was my story, happening all over again. A trusted partner, a sudden, cruel betrayal for money. Sam was not a monster. He was just a copy of a monster. A stupid, reckless kid, following the same dark path that Ivan had walked 40 years before. Clara listened, her eyes wide with terror. She now understood that her brother had not just made a mistake. He had made a deal with the devil himself, and the devil had come to collect. The phone buzzed again. A new text from the Sokolovs. It was the location for the meeting. The old shipping docks. Pier 4. Midnight tomorrow. Come alone, Leo, or your friend Sam pays the price. Clara looked at me, her face pleading. "Don't go, Leo," she said. "We can run. We can disappear. This man, he's not just a criminal. He's evil. It is a hard choice, isn't it? Do you face a monster, knowing it is almost certainly a trap? Or do you run and spend the rest of your life looking over your shoulder? I knew we could not run. A man like Ivan would never stop looking for his money. He would hunt us forever. I have to go, Clara, I said. But I'm not going there to make a deal. I looked at Silas. I am going there to end this. I knew I could not fight Ivan's men. I could not outsmart a man who had been a monster for 40 years. But I had one thing he did not know I had. I had his ghost. I had the story of his first great sin. And I was going to use it. My plan was simple. Ivan's power came from his reputation, from the fear he commanded. If I could expose him in front of his own men, if I could show them that the foundation of his entire criminal empire was built on a lie and a simple betrayal, I might be able to break his power over them. But I needed more than just Silas's story. I needed proof. I needed a weapon that could kill a ghost. Silas looked at me, a new, hard light in his old eyes. There might be a way, he said slowly. Before I ran, all those years ago, I hid everything. The original partnership papers. The documents Ivan forged to steal my company. Proof of his first crime. I hid it all in a secret place. A place I never thought I would see again. He was not just a quiet fisherman anymore. He was a survivor, just like me. And he was ready to fight back. He told me he had hidden the papers, a thick leather ledger, in a secret compartment under the floorboards of the old dockmaster's office on Pier 4. The very place Ivan wanted to meet. He was, without knowing it, inviting me back to the scene of his first crime. He was inviting his own ghost back into his life. The irony was so perfect, it felt like fate. I now had a new mission. I had to go to the docks, tonight, before the meeting. I had to find that book, The Final Open Loop. The key to everything was not the lottery money. It was a dusty, 40-year-old book of secrets. A book that could expose Ivan for the simple thief he really was. My own revenge for Sam and Clara was now just a small part of a much older, much bigger story of betrayal. I was not just fighting for my money anymore. I was fighting for Silas. I was fighting for the ghost of the man he used to be. The text from the Sokolovs came one last time. It was another picture of Sam looking worse than before. The message was simple. Midnight. The clock was ticking. I had one night to become a ghost one last time. I had to sneak onto the docks, into the heart of my enemy's old world, and find the secret book that held the key to all of our futures. It was a suicide mission, but it was the only move I had left to play.